Hello, Martin.
Morning, Mark.
Morning. And welcome to In the Workshop with Mark Tunley, question and answers. It is April 22. And Martin, you have a question for me?
I do. It's April. Frost on the ground.
Freezing cold already?
Yeah.
Winter's back?
God bless you, Great Britain. Question this morning. Really, rod actions. Hear a lot about rod actions from various manufacturers. Quite a confusing subject, I think, to many of us in describing how a rod bends. What are your thoughts and how do you categorise rods in your own mind as a top rod maker?
Okay, I'm going to keep it simple and relatively quick. Through action is at one extreme and ultra fast is at the other extreme, and any quality rod should have a progressive action, getting less as you get down to through. Right, I'll flesh it out and put some detail in. Okay. Classic through action, old glass fibre, old bamboo rod, okay, with a very slow taper. I'm going to get too confused here. I'll visualise. A through action rod, in its true term, has a high resistant tip. So when you put pressure on the tip, it resists the bend, which forces the entire rod to start to bend, and you get a C curve. Okay? But the C curve happens as a whole. The whole rod just starts to go over in one go. So it's a true through action. Now you can go to the other extreme and you can have an ultra fast rod that will still end up in that through action shape, but it progressed to it very slowly, where a through action classic rod will progress to that shape very fast. So immediately as you put some action into the tip, it starts to take a C, but a very shallow C. And the more tip you put in, the bigger the C becomes.
Mr. Crabtree bends.
A Mr. Crabtree bend, a classic old glass type bend. Okay. So go to the other extreme, ultra fast, a quiver tip rod. As soon as pressure starts to happen, all that happens is the quiver, the very tip of the quiver starts to bend over, as we know. And then the more pressure that puts on, the more the bend starts to happen through the rod. It progresses slowly down the rod as you bend. So that term progressive is any decent quality rod, the action should always progress down the blank. And ultra fast would be a quiver tip. Fast would be like a stick float rod. Medium fast, a lightweight specialist rod. Medium, a decent barbel rod or a decent carp rod. And through, a modern through action would be a spod rod. Spod rods have to have a modern through action because you want a high resistant tip, because you've got a heavy bloody load, and you want to cast with the entire rod, and you want to cast a heavy load easily on you so it doesn't rip your back out. So as soon as you start to load up a decent designed spod rod, the whole rod acts as one big spring, loads it easy on you, there's no shock, and it just loads up and out we go. And I think that pretty much covers it, apart from parabolic actions, which I have no idea what the marketing people mean, apart from the term parabolic comes from parabola, which is the shape of a satellite dish. Google it, have a look at the shape. I think they mean, when they mean a parabolic action, I think they mean a fast action rod that will progress down. So in a nutshell, very simply, rod actions. How do they? I suppose a follow-up question, if you were to ask one, would be how do they actually affect the fishing?
Well, you've got playing and you've got casting, I guess.
Well, theoretically, but I think really the througher the action the rod, the easier it is to cast, smoother it is to cast, the more forgiving the cast is for your timing.
Is that casting more accurate with a through action rod?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
As long as a rod
it's just easier.
Yeah, it's easier to time because you've got more time in the casting stroke because the rod is loading and bending.
Seems there's a smoothness to that kind of rod.
Yeah. The more through action a rod has, the easier it is to time, but you can't cast as far. So if you need to cast a long range, then you need to increase the stiffness of the rod's action and get to pretty much a fast action, like high-end carp rod. And then it resists bending a lot through the rod, so more of the energy is put on. But we're digressing ever so slightly. So to summarise actions, ultra fast would be a quiver tip. A decent through action, modern through action, would be like a spod rod. And for me personally, the best action of all is like slap bang in the middle, the medium. It's just casts well, bends over, plays well. It's easy to time. It has enough resistance to put a decent cast out there. It's just a very usable action. And luckily, most of the manufacturers seem to have caught on with that. If you pick up any decent barbel rod nowadays or decent carp rod, they're pretty much all medium actions. They've got there, you know, and there's no real reason to move away from that. So,
okay, good description.
All right, okay,
thank you.
If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would consider subscribing, press the notification button, all the bell icon. Otherwise, you won't get notified when we upload a new video. So, if you have been, thanks for watching.